Hey now, it is a gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous summer morning here, and this hot weather has me craving some Saison. Now, I don't happen to have any, so it's time to brew it. Now, a little while ago when we were up at my in-laws hunting shack, we managed to pick a bunch of black currants, and I've got some of that, so I want to do a black currant Saison. So I'm thinking for the actual beer itself, doing something sort of in the low 1040s for an original gravity, just to keep it sort of a reasonable alcohol percentage when it's all said and done. Also, I'll probably play around with the hopping a little bit for my usual recipe, get some really good Saison yeast in there, and of course, hit that with some black currants. So let's see how it goes. For the grist, we're starting off with, it's 80% of Weyermann Pilsner malt, and that's going to give just a really nice, grainy, clean base to this beer. I've got 10% of Weyermann Vienna malt, and I'm hoping that'll give maybe just a little bit of golden color to it, a hint of toastiness perhaps. And then I've got 10% of Canada Malting white wheat malt, which should aid with head retention, maybe give it just a little bit of weedy tang and perhaps a little bit of softness. So let's get this ground up. The Monster Mill 3mm Pro here is going to make really quick work of all this malt. We're going to be ready to mash in. Okay, so my strike water is ready here. And I'm going for a step mash today. I'm going to be starting off with 50 degrees Celsius, or in that 125 degree Fahrenheit range. Do a little protein rest. I find that sort of helps out with this Weyermann Pilsner malt. Sometimes finished product seems a little bit hazier than it should be. So hopefully this will help with that. And yeah, just gonna get it mixed up. Let it sit here for around 20 minutes or so. Woo! Pretty milky start here through the sight glass. You can take a peek in here. Have a little recirc going. It always amazes me how little grain you actually need for these somewhat lower alcohol beers when you have that lower original gravity. Very efficient. After that 20 minutes, I'm beginning heating up to 62.7 Celsius or 145 Fahrenheit. Once this hits that temperature, once it steps up to that, I'm going to hold it for 45 minutes. After that, we're going to a higher temperature. I'm doing the step mash to hopefully reach maximum attenuability with this wort. Now we're going to heat up to 67.7 Celsius or 154 Fahrenheit and let that sit for another 45 minutes before we mash out. After that 45 minutes at the second sack temperature there, we're going to raise up to 75.5 Celsius or that 168 Fahrenheit range and mash out. I'll hold it there for about 15 minutes. After that mash out, it is time to begin running off here into the boil kettle. So I'm just going to switch up my lids here a little bit, and we can do that. So I'm fly sparging here with, again, 168 degree Fahrenheit or in that 75.5, 76 Celsius range. And we're going to get enough into the boil kettle here so that I can add my first wort hops. This is not going to be a very bitter beer. I'm starting off here. I'm doing a first wort hop with some Horizon hops. Now that I have a little bit of wort in this kettle. And the whole idea here is this is actually only going to give us, with that 12.8% alpha acids, somewhere around 9 IBU. I'm going to be adding some other hops shortly before flame out that'll just wind up giving me the remainder of the hop bitterness that I need. And I'm going with the first wort hop here over a bittering addition at 60 minutes or even 90 minutes, because I'm doing a 90-minute boil, just because I really like that sort of more refined bitterness that you get. Plus, if this winds up carrying over just a hint of the floral or citrus characteristics of those Horizon hops, I'm certainly not going to be disappointed. We are just hitting a boil here. I'm going to give it a 90-minute boil session so we can reduce possible DMS just because of that Pilsner base. And we got quite a while before we have to do anything else with this wort. All right, the last hops here. It's 56 grams of some Pacifif Gem hops. Just like that, and that'll bump us up to that total of 17 IBU. Okay, so we just flamed out, so I'm gonna give it a really quick whirlpool here. No whirlpool hops, just that 5-minute addition. And once this is whirlpooled, I'll cover it up and give it about 15 minutes. And now we're just running off into the carboys. Going through the plate chiller. I'm just in the middle of aerating these beers. I am rotating them like this for approximately 1 minute each, which should be more than enough oxygenation to allow fermentation to take place really nicely. All right, so we're now at pitching temperatures here for the wort. So I'm going to take this beautiful starter of Currant Saison yeast. I'm going to dump it on in. It's always fun trying to split up the starter when you do it in a single flask. Reading below the meniscus, we came in at 1043, 1 point higher than planned, but hey, I'll take it. The next morning, fermentation is kicking off. We're starting to hit high krausen and have some gas production. Very nice. Here we are, we're a few days in. Even about 24 hours in, it seemed like fermentation was almost starting to die down a little bit. It wasn't nearly as vigorous. I have been increasing the temperature. We're up to 78 Fahrenheit right now, and I have been rocking these just to kick up yeast to ensure maximum attenuation. Of course, with that original gravity of 1043, it doesn't have a lot of sugars to get through. So at this point, with this one carboy here, I am going to fruit it. Got my lovely assistant here. And so what I have here is, this is like 3.5 pounds of some black currants that were frozen. I pasteurized them via sous vide the other day at 150 Fahrenheit for a couple of hours. And now today, I'm going to be adding them in here. I did just refrigerate them overnight because I wasn't ready to put them in the other night. And then what I did today was I just threw them back in the hot water bath with the precision cooker, got them up to 78 Fahrenheit, just so they shouldn't really adjust the fermentation temperature here at all. And I've got, everything here is again sanitized with Star San. And this is how I'm going to get these berries into here, just with this sanitized wooden spoon. So that did take almost a couple of minutes. It's a little bit tedious, but it's well worth it in the end. You can see that we've displaced some volume here with those black currants. This is well worth it for the black currant flavor though. I love it in a Saison. So I've just got the temperature probe back in here. I've got the thermal well back in. And I'm going to continue to rouse these. This fermentation will kickstart a little bit. And I know that it throws its original gravity off a bit because the black currants do have probably a slightly bit higher sugar content than the original wort did. But I don't care. And I'm probably going to take this as high as 80 Fahrenheit. I'm just going to keep increasing the temperature for another couple of days, a degree per day. This is a few hours later, and you can see that this yeast was super excited to get working away at those black currants. Woo! Forced attenuation test came in at 1010. However, the Saison yeast should be able to do better than that bread yeast. After letting the Saison sit at 80 Fahrenheit for a week, it's hit 1007, both versions. And yeah, that's a really good finishing gravity for me, for my Saisons that I like. So I'm going to crash cool them. So yesterday I went and pressure racked these Saisons into kegs, and I'm gelatin finding them now. I sous vide pasteurized this gelatin in some water. You can check out my videos on that whole process if you would like. And now I am just going to purge this. Any oxygen that got in there, purge it out with CO2. And mix that up. I'm going to let this sit cold in the keezer here for a week, and then it'll be time to transfer and carbonate. Okay, it's a beautiful hot day. Let's try out the black currant version of the Saison. So a delightful, fruited farmhouse ale. What better place to enjoy it than out here at the chicken coop where I can pretend that I'm a farmer? I don't know. Anyway, let's give it a whirl. Talk about black currants. Black currant is such like a rich, earthy, deep sort of flavor. It goes super well with the Saison style. Pairs really nicely with the Saison yeast. You know, a little bit of that funk, hints of citrus and things like that going on. Absolutely gorgeous. It's certainly the dominant flavor in this beer, the black currant. It's almost juicy, but not quite. Absolutely fantastic. I needed to get my hat. So I'm gonna try the original base Saison here. Probably should have done this in reverse order, but. So smelling this, I think I'm getting just a little bit of the Pacifif Gem hop character coming through there, a little bit of that blackberry flavor that's so typical of that particular hop strain. That's obviously masked in the black currant version. And then in the aroma, hush you, we're getting a decent amount of that nice grainy Pilsner malt character in there. Just maybe a little bit of the toastiness coming out of the vanilla. It's a nice kind of soft across the palate type of beer with that white wheat malt in there. Ultimately, this is a delicious, quite drinkable Saison. I really like the black currant version of this, though. It's such a delightful berry. That earthiness in there pairs so well with the Saison, with those slightly funky flavors coming out of that Saison strain that we have in this. Absolutely delightful. So if you get your hands on some black currants, I highly recommend that you use them in a brew, and you will not be disappointed. It is possible to go a little too far with the black currants, but I like the ratio that I used here. So either way, give it a whirl. If you try it, let me know. Until next time, keep it at 11.